What if, like, everyday actions held the key to really extraordinary abilities, Skills honed in secret over centuries.
Hmm.
Today, we're kind of venturing into that realm, taking a deep dive into the training methods of ancient martial arts. Specifically, some really unique skills detailed in historical texts, like Jin Jing Zhong's training methods of 72 Arts of Shaolin from back in 1934.
Exactly. And alongside that, we're also drawing from his Dainexu Shu, skill of acting on acupoints, and Zhu Xiatin's application of pugilistic art from 1929.
Right.
These aren't just, records of bygone eras. They offer this really fascinating window into the dedication, the sheer ingenuity that underpin these martial traditions.
Yeah.
For you, our listener, our goal is really to extract the core insights from these practices. We're aiming for those genuine aha moments, to broaden your understanding, but without getting totally bogged down in minute details.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We're going to be exploring a whole spectrum of these, well, intriguing techniques. Think of it as a guided tour into what made these martial arts so distinctive.
We'll be looking at the foundational skill of sandbags, the almost unbelievable skill piercing through stones, the internally focused skill pulling out a mountain, the agile claws of mantis, the kind of unexpected skill bag, the precise palm of Guan Yin, the strength-developing skill raising a pot, and the really robust rubbing palms.
Wow, quite a list.
Yeah, and we'll even begin to unravel the complexities of Dainexu Shu, skill of acting on acupoints. So, ready to embark on this exploration with us?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's start with the skill of sandbags, or S-A-B-O-U Ang Dong. What's particularly insightful here is its fundamental aim, building what's called yang force. That's the development of external, readily apparent strength and striking power.
Okay, yang force, external power.
Right. But it's not just about raw muscle. This training also cultivates flexibility and overall mobility. The underlying principle being, well, a more agile body gives you a significant advantage in overcoming an opponent. So picture the training setup. 4 sturdy wooden poles topped with beams, and from these hang sandbags, each weighing about, 2.5 to 3 kilograms, positioned right at shoulder height. Seems deceptively simple, the construction anyway.
It does, yeah. But the progression is quite deliberate. It starts with single punches. Now, the crucial element isn't just the force of the outward strike, but equally the force generated upon the bag's return. The texts even include a cautionary note, like right at the start, about potential wrist injury. Really highlights the importance of proper technique from the get-go.
Right, protecting those vital joints. Makes sense. Then, the training evolves to using both fists simultaneously, striking 2 bags forward and then alternating hands to deflect the returning swings.
Exactly.
What struck me was the sheer volume of repetition the text says at least 100 times a day. That speaks to an incredible level of dedication needed to just ingrain these movements.
It certainly does. And the training keeps evolving. Practitioners then move on to simultaneously receiving the impact of the returning bags while striking them aside at high speed. Following this, it's successive blows delivered in all directions, forward, backward, right, and left. You can start to imagine the level of coordination and, full body engagement this demands.
Absolutely. And it doesn't stop there, does it? The progression includes striking all 4 bags in any sequence, all while maintaining a stable, balanced body position. Next comes utilizing the elbows to strike and deflect the bags, gradually increasing the distance to challenge reach and agility. It's like a comprehensive engagement of the entire body against these moving targets.
Precisely. And remarkably, the training even incorporates strikes, using the crown of the head, front, back, and sides, and using the shoulders to push the bag sideways. There's even practice striking backward with the back of the head.
With the head, wow.
Yeah, it really underscores the principle of using, every part of the body as a potential tool.
And if that wasn't comprehensive enough, the advanced stage involves simultaneously delivering blows at 10 bags. 10 swinging targets demanding incredible focus and speed. And the ultimate level, practicing all these diverse strikes while in motion, walking, running, jumping, and using not just fists, but feet, shins, knees, shoulders, forearms, basically the entire arsenal.
The practical application becomes pretty obvious then. The ability to break free from an encirclement by instinctively striking with any part of the body. The ancient texts themselves compare it to being surrounded by a mob, each represented by a sandbag. What's truly fascinating is that this skill of sandbags isn't presented as some, advanced secret technique, but as one of the foundational, most ancient Shaolin methods.
Yeah.
A testament to its enduring effectiveness, I suppose.
Foundational, maybe in concept, but the commitment required sounds anything but basic. Okay, moving on. We encountered the skill piercing through stones, or Dian Shai Gong. This one immediately conjures images of almost, well, superhuman focus.
It definitely has that aura, yeah. The main aim here is, again, cultivating and strengthening that outer yang force, but with a very specific focus, to train the indicative force concentrated into just 2 fingers.
2 fingers.
Yeah, to such an extent that you could inflict severe injury or even death with what looks like a light touch. It's quite distinct from broader power development. It emphasizes this intense focus of force into a tiny area.
The hand posture itself is quite specific. The forefinger and middle finger extended, rigid, while the ring and little fingers are curled tightly into the palm, thumb pressed firmly on top. The texts describe it like gripping a sword tightly.
Exactly. The training begins with the seemingly simple act of pressing these focused fingertips into an object, like you're trying to prick it.
Okay.
It then progresses to a more structured method using soft soil mixed with glue. You let it harden, mark it with small circles. Then the trainee thrusts their focused fingers into these circles, day after day, deepening the recesses. 10 reps per circle.
2 solid years dedicated to just piercing earth. That's an immense investment of time and effort.
It is. And then, after this initial phase, the practitioner progresses to working with light stones, keeping that same principle of intensely focused thrusting.
And how long does the stone phase take?
It's said to require another 2 years of consistently piercing stones to truly master the skill. The ancient texts keep emphasizing the absolute necessity of unwavering persistence and like an almost meditative level of focus throughout this whole demanding process.
Wow.
It's also significant that they directly connect this specific finger strengthening to learning how to strike vulnerable points later, the art of Dian Xeu.
So it's not just about the, seemingly impossible feat of breaking rocks with your fingers. It's about building this foundational, focused power and control that underpins a much more targeted, potentially lethal application.
Interesting. Okay, moving on. We encountered the skill pulling out a mountain, or Biao Shan Gong. This seems like a shift in focus, moving towards developing internal and soft YN force.
Yes, this skill centers on cultivating what's termed empty force, XULI, within the wrist, specifically for pulling and holding. The initial setup involves a wooden pole about 3.3 meters long, half buried deep in the earth, secured with clay, sand, stones, basically making it immovable.
Later, they progress to an iron pole. Now, when we talk about YN force here, think of it as a more yielding internal power, distinct from the external striking force we saw with the sandbags.
And the training itself, holding this fixed pole with just 3 fingers, thumb, middle, forefinger, and trying daily to pull it upwards. The texts say initially it feels futile, like trying to move a mountain, right?
Wow.
No effect.
Right. But the crucial element is consistent, dedicated effort. Day after day, without shaking or trying to leverage the pole side to side. The emphasis is on gradually building intrinsic strength in the fingers and wrist. Over time, almost imperceptibly at first, the fingers and wrist strengthen. Eventually, the pole starts to yield, moving, rising from the ground. That marks the successful completion of the first stage. And this empty force, the XULI, it's like this focused internal power, allowing for seemingly effortless manipulation, grasping something firmly without obvious muscle tension.
Then comes the transition to the iron pole. That must be a huge leap in required strength.
It is.
The texts say this stage is what allows achieving hard yang force, which seems a bit counterintuitive from a pulling exercise.
It does, yeah, but it highlights how interconnected these seemingly opposing forces are in Shaolin training. And it's interesting how the texts directly link this pulling exercise to helping master the strength of eagle's claws. It seems both skills benefit from developing this specific kind of refined wrist and finger power, starting with a soft YIN and culminating in a hard yang manifestation.
In the advanced stage of pulling out a mountain, it sounds almost like mystical, raising an opponent or object seemingly effortlessly with just a subtle arm movement, causing internal muscle and bone injury, but specifically not death. That implies an incredible degree of control.
It really underscores the level of control and precision these often extreme training methods aim for. Next up, we move to the claws of mantis, or Tang Lang Zhao. This one has a very evocative visual in martial arts.
It certainly does. It's described as mainly a hard exercise, focused on strengthening the outer body, developing hard yang force, but, and this is key one, that contains a refined element of soft YN force within it, sometimes called diamond hand.
Hmm?
The training specifically targets strengthening the palm edge and the wrist, which is vital for those characteristic mantis-like strikes. Right?
Exactly. And it specifically contrasts in the text with the Palm of Guan Yin, which we'll get to. Mantis Claws mainly uses forearm force from above, a pure application of hard force for close quarters combat. The impact severity is determined by the precise angle of the bent wrist at the moment of strike, often likened to an axe chop. And the name, of course, mimics the praying mantis.
The training setup for this is quite specific. A pile of 10 bricks topped with about 10 centimeters of paper. Sounds messy.
Initially, probably very messy, yeah.
Yeah.
The core training involves forcefully bending the wrist up, palm edge forward, then a sharp downward chop with that reinforced palm edge onto the paper-covered bricks.
Alternating hands.
Yep, alternating hands. Starting with over 100 blows per session, gradually increasing to as many as 500 reps.
500! That's an incredible volume of striking. And how do they make it harder?
Okay, so once the trainee can consistently break the bricks under the paper, the challenge increases. They add more paper, another 10 centimeters, while removing a brick or two from the pile.
Ah, okay.
This continues until the practitioner can break just one brick situated beneath a staggering 66 centimeters of paper. That's seen as a major milestone in mastering the hard force aspect. It highlights the focused power and precision needed. It's kind of mind-boggling, really, the force required, yet the delicacy implied not to just shred the paper.
Wow. That paper barrier must demand extraordinary focus and accuracy in the strike.
Absolutely. After this phase, the training transitions to what's called live force, HUO Jin Yin. This involves setting up a tile vertically, propped up by bricks. Then you strike it horizontally with the palm edge until it breaks cleanly. The next stage is learning to cut the upper part of the tile so the lower part stays standing, eventually doing this even without the supporting bricks.
That sounds incredibly difficult, like trying to do surgery with a hammer blow almost.
Exactly. The final stages involve breaking thicker building bricks and then, even more remarkably, chipping a piece from a stone without overturning the whole stone. This final stage is said to require a profound transformation of that hardness into a refined, controlled softness. The texts say this can take another 7 to 10 years.
10 more years, just wow, that's serious long-term dedication. And what's the ultimate outcome of mastering the mantis claws?
In combat, the wrist and palm become imbued with tremendous force, making them formidable weapons up close. Yet remarkably, in normal situations, the hand feels ordinary, relaxed. The texts compare its efficiency to the deadly YN hand, emphasizing how the soft force cultivated through the paper training ultimately manifests as devastating hard force on impact. It's also worth noting the texts mention this skill spreading beyond Shaolin, with independent mantis styles emerging, though these specific training methods are tied to this Jian Kif tradition.
It's fascinating how these seemingly opposite principles, hard and soft, are so intricately trained and integrated. Let's now turn to the Gong-Fu bag, or B-U-D-I Gong. The text explicitly says this isn't about training with a bag, like we normally think, but a unique method for developing the resilience of the stomach itself. That's pretty unexpected.
It is, yeah. It's classified as a soft Gong-Fu, focused on developing internal power, so YIN category, though it has Yang elements too. The main goal is to fortify the stomach area to withstand forceful impacts.
So what does this rather unusual training involve? It starts with a meditative posture, sitting, calming the mind and breath, focusing QI in the waist area.
Correct. The initial phase involves gently stroking the stomach with both hands, 36 times in one direction, say, left then right, intending to release and circulate QI. Then you reverse the direction, repeat the whole sequence.
Okay.
The texts suggest that with consistent practice, maybe 1 to 2 years, the stomach develops this unique quality, becoming soft as silk when relaxed, but capable of hardening significantly when you consciously focus and strain your QI there.
Soft as silk that can become like iron with focused intent. That's quite a transformation. What comes after this initial conditioning?
The next stage involves physically pressing the stomach against the butt end of a sturdy log on a support. While maintaining focus and straining QI to the stomach, the practitioner tries to embrace the log end with their stomach muscles and pull the whole log backward. Initially, the log will probably just fall off.
But with continued practice.
Exactly. The practitioner gradually develops the ability to draw in the log so firmly with their stomach muscles that someone else can't pull it free, even with effort. That's a big milestone.
Right.
The advanced stage takes it further, forcefully drawing in the log butt end while intensely straining QI, then abruptly, explosively pushing it forward with internal force so it actually flies through the air.
The combat applications described sound pretty dramatic. An opponent's fist hits the stomach and gets trapped like handcuffs, causing pain to the attacker, and it even offers resistance to spears and swords.
Yeah, BUDII GOVA-M is presented as the sophisticated interplay of yin and yang, softness and hardness complementing each other. It's specifically distinguished from the purely hard Iron Bull Jeong FU. The texts state, achieving true mastery takes about 10 years.
10 years.
There's even a reference to demonstrations by the famous martial artist Shengyang Shang, showing his ability to withstand powerful blows and draw in attacking fists.
10 years for stomach resilience. These skills demand such extraordinary long-term commitment.
Okay.
Our next skill is the beautifully named Palm of Guan Yin, YIN-YANG, also called the Sword for the Extermination of Evil Spirits. Poetic.
It is. This is another soft Gong-Fu initially, but focused on cultivating outer power within the YIN category. The training specifically exercises and strengthens the wrist and palm muscles for a highly effective, precise chopping hand technique, good for close range.
The initial training involves striking a tree repeatedly with the palm edge, aiming to leave a clear mark. Sounds a bit like the mantis claws conditioning at first.
It does share that palm edge focus, yeah, but the underlying force generation and intended application are quite different. After consistently marking the tree, you progress to a stone target. The text suggests after 1 or 2 years on stone, the blows will start breaking off small pieces.
Okay.
True success at this stage is marked by cleanly splitting a stone with a single precise knife-like cut using the palm edge.
From splitting stone to working with iron shot, that's a big jump in challenge.
Indeed. The next stage uses a pan filled with iron shot, over 33 centimeters deep. Initially striking it, your hand just sinks in, the shot flows back. But with continued focused training, the goal is to develop such speed, force, and precision that the shot is propelled away from the impact point and doesn't immediately settle back.
And what's the ultimate level of mastery for the Palm of Guan Yin?
The ideal is striking the shot pan with such controlled power that the shot flies away maybe 3.3 centimeters max, with absolutely no pellets left on the pan bottom after one strike sends them airborne.
Wow.
Furthermore, with successive strikes in different spots, the displaced shot should divide into distinct, even groups, like neatly cut soybean pudding squares.
That's just an astounding level of control. The texts even include a strange caution. Diligently exercise the left hand, too, to avoid accidentally injuring yourself because the striking palm becomes so sharp.
It certainly underscores the potential power, even posing a risk to the practitioner if not balanced. Okay, our next skill takes us back to hard Gong-Fu, the skill raising a pot, Sheng Guangam.
The main aim here is developing outer power, specifically strengthening shoulders and hand grip, using this specific setup with a pot, cords, and a date palm stick. Initial weight around 5 kilos, filled with shot.
The training starts in a stable rider stance, erect upper body.
Yeah.
You hold the date palm stick with both hands and rotate the stick inwards. This winds the shorter cord, lifting the pot to chest level.
Yeah.
Hold a brief pause, then slowly, deliberately lower it. Repeat 30 times, morning and evening. Consistency is key.
And the difficulty progression is mainly adding weight, right?
Exactly. Every 3 months, add half a kilo of shot. Repeat that 5 times, reaching 7.5 kilos. Then keep adding half a kilo every 3 months up to 15 kilograms.
15 kilos raised just by winding a stick.
Yeah. Interestingly, the texts also note that doing this on rising ground with a longer cord enhances strength and endurance development. It's mentioned this skill was popular up north and usually needs at least 3 years of dedicated practice for significant proficiency.
3 years of raising a pot. The sheer dedication across all these skills is just remarkable. Finally, before we get into Dayanixia, we have rubbing palms, He Pan's Zhang, described as the most effective rubbing method in pugilistic art for strengthening outer yang force in the hands.
The setup is surprisingly simple. 30 ordinary square bamboo chopsticks, bundled tightly, tied securely with thread, no space between sticks.
And the training, just pressing this bundle between the palms and rubbing back and forth forcefully, both palms moving, turning the bunch. It sounds almost meditative, but I bet the friction is intense.
It is. You keep rubbing, rest when exhausted, then resume. Over time, the pressure compacts the chopsticks even tighter. The texts claim after about 2 years, the outer sticks will start to fracture and intertwine, inner sticks even turn over within the binding.
Then comes a big upgrade, metal chopsticks.
Yep. Same method, press and rub. But after another 2 years using thumb-thick metal chopsticks, the text described this remarkable transformation. The metal sticks supposedly thinned down to finger thickness and double in length.
Double in length.
That's what it says. This stage is called mastery after 1,000 days of effort, and the changes in the metal are supposedly clearly visible.
And the promised outcome of this intense hand conditioning, it sounds almost unbelievable.
The texts describe achieving extraordinary hand strength and resilience, ability to cope with almost anything by mere contact, breaking things instantly, crumbling iron or stone with a touch.
Seriously?
Wood feels like vegetables, bamboo snaps easily, steel ropes fray on contact, even claims touching a bolted gate makes the bolt spring open. Highly effective for repelling attacks. The ultimate level is supposedly being able to grind a steel pole into a fine needle using just your hands.
Grinding steel into a needle. Okay, these descriptions really push the boundaries of what seems physically plausible today. Now, let's turn to Dian Ez Yu Shu, skill of acting on acupoints. This is presented as a truly profound, intricate martial art, digging into the body's vital energy pathways.
Indeed. Jin Jing Zhong's 1934 text, Dian Ez Yu Shu, aims specifically to explain the principles and training of this complex art. Traditionally, becoming a top martial artist or a competent doctor each took immense time, like 20-30 years under good tutors.
Right.
So combining both disciplines, which Dian Ez Yu inherently does, integrating vital point knowledge for both offense and healing, highlights the huge undertaking.
The author strongly advocates for martial artists to study Dian Ez Yu not just for offense, but also for healing, emphasizing this crucial ethic, learn to cure before focusing solely on defeating. That's a fascinating, maybe often overlooked dimension of martial arts philosophy.
It is. The theoretical roots of Dian Ez Yu are deep, observing nature patterns. Its early development tied to weaponry evolution. Over time, distinct trends emerged, notably Shaolin and Wudan, plus 4 specific schools, San Huangmen, Zhen Weimen, Biagyan, Yanmen, each tracing back to foundational figures.
And the core concepts, Yunang and Yang hardness and softness, are central, right? And the 72 Shaolin arts are seen as practical demonstrations of these principles.
Exactly. The text tells a compelling story about his seemingly slight Shaolin monk, Sun Tong. He amazed people with his Dian Ez Yu mastery, immobilizing much larger attackers with precise touches.
Wow.
It highlights the art's effectiveness beyond just physical strength. The text mentions his lineage and how Dian Ez Yu spread in Kangzhou, showing its historical significance beyond just Shaolin legends.
So while Dian Ez Yu is often called soft Gong-Fu, emphasizing precision and internal knowledge over brute force, it's explicitly acknowledged as potentially lethal in combat, right? Further showing that integration of soft and hard in Shaolin art.
Yes. The texts acknowledge the profound theory and training difficulties, plus the historical secrecy, meaning few achieve perfect mastery. However, the connection between Dian Ez Yu and traditional Chinese medicine, especially acupuncture, for saving lives and healing, is strongly emphasized. The complexity of acupuncture theory itself is noted, highlighting its relevance to everyone, not just the physically strong.
And the underlying theoretical basis of Dian Ez Yu itself. It's tied into Tai-Ji, Yin-Yang balance, Wu-I, 5 elements, and the crucial importance of harmonious QI and blood flow.
Precisely. It involves deep understanding of the body's 12 primary meridians, main heel connecting vessels, and the 365 recognized acupoints, their location and function.
Okay.
Dian Ez Yu techniques are described as acting on filled or active points based on the SICN, the specific time of day when points are most vulnerable. The goal is to strategically block QI and blood flow at these points, causing numbness, weakness, etc.
And restoring function means acting on corresponding points to unblock the flow.
Exactly, to reinstate balance.
The texts even categorize points based on effect. Big points, including 72 numbing, 36 potentially lethal ones, plus small points, and those causing faintness, dumbness, or even atrophy over time. That level of physiological knowledge is remarkable.
It is. The texts argue Dian Ez Yu's difficulty isn't inherent, but often stems from overemphasis on external training or lack of consistent knowledgeable guidance. The introduction concludes by reiterating the ancient ideal: prioritize moral character and virtue above mere physical strength. And it mentions specific Dian Ez Yu training techniques are detailed later in the source.
It truly sounds profoundly intricate, demanding exceptional physical control, precision, and deep understanding of the body's energy systems and vital points.
It does indeed. It really underscores the holistic approach in these ancient traditions, where combat skill was often intertwined with the knowledge and ability to heal.
Well, that was a truly deep dive into a fascinating, demanding array of Shaolin skills. We covered the raw power of skill of sandbags, the intense focus of piercing through stones, the internal strength of pulling out a mountain, the precise agility of claws of mantis and Palm of Guan Yin, the unique stomach conditioning of skill bag, the focused strength of raising a pot, the incredible hand conditioning of rubbing palms, and got that captivating intro to pressure points in Diane's Yui Shu.
What really stands out is the sheer dedication needed, right? Years, often decades, of consistent, meticulous training to even approach mastery. We saw that recurring theme of balance, integrating hard and soft, outer and inner power,
Yeah.
all contributing to a holistic martial development. And beyond just techniques, there's this palpable historical depth, even philosophical underpinnings, enriching our understanding.
Absolutely. And for you, our listener, we hope this exploration provided those aha moments you were seeking, revealing the surprising specifics and rich historical context without feeling, overwhelming. It's a powerful testament to the ingenuity, discipline, and enduring commitment of those who practice these arts over centuries.
This whole exploration raises a compelling question, maybe something to mull over. Given the extraordinary dedication and focused effort needed for these ancient martial arts, what perhaps overlooked hidden skills might exist in other disciplines or areas of life today? Things we, in our fast-paced world, might easily dismiss or just not recognize.
Interesting thought.
Or maybe, more broadly, how might the fundamental principles we discussed, focused training, balancing opposing forces, pursuing mastery through sustained effort, apply to your own personal growth or skill development in totally different fields, far removed from martial arts? It's definitely something worth contemplating long after our deep dive today ends.